So by the time we get to the end, Moses, my servant, is dead. Joshua's sad. The people of Israel are sad. Moses couldn't even go into the promised land. And you know what God said? It ain't time for a pity party. Get up. Some of y'all know some folks right now, this pandemic is doing a work on them. Some of y'all know some folks right now, this election is doing a work on them. They can't stop posting about their candidate. And when their candidate lose on Tuesday, boy, they gonna freak out. Whether if it's Trump or Biden, they gonna freak out. And you know what you're gonna have to do? Slap them in the back of the head and say, get up! God's got something for you to do. It ain't time for you to wallow in the wilderness. It's not time for you to wallow in your pity. God's got a work for you to do. Y'all, it's been 8 months of pandemic, 4 years of Trump, 400 years of slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow, all sorts of issues going on in our world. You know what God is saying? Don't wallow in that. That's not your identity. Your identity is Jesus. Get up. Get up. Depression is having an unhappy mood. And when you have an unhappy mood and it's mixed with fatigue or being agitated or sleeping too much or mental illness, a decrease in weight, an increase in rate, thoughts of death. Let me tell you something. I've certainly gone through some form of depression before where I didn't clean my room and felt like I wanted to stay in the room and didn't have the motivation to get up. But I thank God for godly people being in my life saying, look, you can't stay here, man. You got to get up. And this is what God tells Joshua. Get up. He says, get up. Look at what he says in verse 3. He says, every place on which the sole of your foot treads, I've given it to you, just as I spoke to Moses. And then he describes what he's given. From the river Euphrates all the way over to Kadesh, I've given it to you. You see, the reason why we get up is this. You have God's promises. The reason why you get up is because you have God's promises. It's the unbeliever that has no hope. It's the unbeliever that has no hope. You got hope, y'all. You're not a person that's going to feel like the world is going to be over just because the wrong candidate got in office. You got hope. He said, look, you get up and guess what? I've given you a promise. Every place where your foot steps is going to be yours. Every step where your foot treads is going to be yours. What is he saying? You have God's promises. There's no reason for you to wallow in a pity party because you got God's promises. And just like Israel had God's promises, you as a child of God, a child of Jesus, his daughter, his son, you got God's promises. God already told you I'm working all things out for good. God already told you greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. God already told you I am on the throne and you are the head and not the tail. God has already told you, 2 Timothy 4:18, the Lord will rescue you from every evil deed. He will bring you safely to his heavenly kingdom. To him be glory forever and ever. God has already told you, 1 Peter 5:6-7, therefore humble yourself under the mighty hand of God and eventually he'll lift you up. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. God has already told you, 1 Peter 1, 3, and 4, blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who according to his great mercy has caused us to be born again to a living hope through an inheritance which is imperishable, undefiled, and will not fade away. Get up! Every step that you tread is going to be yours, Joshua. I don't know about you. Why in the world would somebody stay down if you got promises like that?